sleep, bet, repeat. That's how we get down here on the opening line at EliteSportsBetting.com. I'll be your host today, Benny Ricciardi. You can follow me over on Twitter at BennyR11. And today we're going to be talking a little bit of college football. So when we're talking college football, I went out and got our two best experts, the two guys with the college football models that have been making me money all season long, told them to come in and give us a little bit of information, a little bit of what they're looking at here. So we'll start off up top with my man, Frank Brank. What's going on here today, Frank?
How's it going, Benny?
Pretty good. So a lot of people, I know your backstory and so do a lot of the other guys at the company, but some of our subs might not. So just give them a little bit on, how you model, what you look for, and, kind of introduce yourself for a second.
Yeah, so I went to college, played baseball, statistics degree, and just started doing this stuff on the side. Started having some success and getting noticed on Twitter and whatnot, and here we are. For college football specifically, I just build up, expectations like a lot of folks do, probably similar to how Ken Palm does basketball, things like that, for, how I expect teams to perform against an average team and then compare them, against each other. Just a pretty simple power rankings kind of model.
Yeah, and next we're going to bring in my man, Golf Man Paulie. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Benny? How's it going?
Not too bad. So let's go to the same thing for you. Kind of give everybody a little bit of background on your, college football thoughts, how you go through everything, and a little bit of background on yourself so they know who you are.
Yeah, so similar to Frank, I also played college sports, played golf in college. I have a background also in mathematics and statistics. So that's kind of how I got the background in terms of getting into sports betting a little bit. In terms of how I get the projections each week in college football, I have a model and then also literally go through and watch a bunch of the games just to be able to see our teams passing the eye test that's matching the data as well.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing to do. College football is a tough one. NFL, there's only 32 teams. So we only have, with buys, 10, 12 games a week to break down. You guys breaking down college football have a lot of work to do because we're talking, over 300 schools in Division I, for basketball at least. For football, it's a little bit less with the, the different series that they have, everything. But you got 40, 50 games that you're looking at every week. So we don't have enough time to sit here and go through all the games. So what I want to do, you guys have the models. Your models are spitting out winners for us. So, Frank, we'll start with you. What are some of the games that your model is spitting out that we should be looking at to bet on this weekend?
Well, the card this week really sucks, and I will say that most weeks I hate my card, as probably a lot of folks do that do the modeling side. But there's just so many double-digit games this week, 15, 20-point favorites. There's a handful of games that I like. I'm on some sides that I don't really enjoy, like Cincinnati -10, I think, in spots. I hate missing the side of the number. I'd rather get that 9.5 if I can. But I've got that game at 14. They're playing Temple. It's a ranked team at home. I'm not in love with the side, but I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so when you're looking at your model versus what the lines that are being offered are, how do you figure out which ones you want to bet on? What is the difference between your number and the number that the books are offering us that really kind of gets you excited?
Well, for me, it's really just a point and click strategy. If I notice the model, if I'm off on a team, like I see, I'll give you an example. This happens in modeling, right? When you're trying to take out personal bias, there's certainly teams that your numbers are gonna like that aren't that good. It's just plain fact. You can't take it all out. For example, I've been high on Missouri all year. Now I need to pay close attention to that. They lost some stinkers early, so there are some personal, I have to pay attention to who I'm high on. Another team's like Michigan that I have 8th. I don't think anyone would think that they're the 8th best team in the country, but I haven't had any plays on them. So I would be earlier in the year when I was playing a lot of Missouri, for example, I would have been nervous and kind of cautious, but I think I've played one Michigan game all year. So the market seems to be respecting them as much as I am. Now to compare my numbers to the lines, I basically just work off percentages. I can set up distributions to see how often a team that wins by 14 will cover a 10-point spread, for example, and then whatever my biggest edges are, that's what I go with. And like I said, outside of just kind of paying attention to injuries and maybe sudden changes of teams that are playing slower or faster, if I'm consistently getting, even just back-to-back weeks, getting plays on one side or one team's total over under consistently, I'll start to kind of pay more attention or go back and watch some of the game or something like that.
Okay. And, that's one of the things we wanted to do with these videos here is kind of give you guys a little bit of insight on how we get to some of the bets that wind up going up on the spreadsheet at the end of the week. Anybody who's been a subscriber over here at EliteSportsBetting.com knows that, every week you can go and click on college football, NBA, NFL, whatever the sport is. And, you get the picks that come out that, these guys are grinding out through the models. What we want to do here is kind of give people a little bit of background on how they get there. So I'm going to go over to Paulie right now and kind of ask him the same question. When you're putting your numbers versus the lines every week, what are the things that you're looking at that kind of stand out to you that make something a play that you're going to put into your, your pick sheet every week?
Yeah, one of the things to look at is trying to anticipate what the market's going to move on it as well. So, if you happen to see, kind of Frank mentioned, you happen to see a number at 9.5, you think it's to be going up, trying to make sure you lock that in now, as opposed to, let's say, the number may be sitting, let's say 11.5. I may not be as worried about trying to lock the number in right now to see if there's going to be a movement. It might move to 11, whereas if it goes to 12, it's not that big of a difference between 11.5 and 12.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. I mean, key numbers, and especially in football, are something that you really got to watch out for. People who don't know key numbers like 3, numbers like 7, numbers like 10, basically you can do some math and figure out touchdown, field goal, touchdown together. Those are the things that you kind of want to bet around. And, like the guys are saying, when you get 9.5, that means if they win by a touchdown and a field goal, you're going to get some money out of it. Whereas if you have to take 11 on that, the chances that number is going to come are going to be a lot less, because if they win by 10, you wind up paying the book, and that's not what we want. So, Paulie, what are some of the bets that, your model's spitting out this week, some of the things that you're going to be looking at for college football this weekend?
I actually matched Frank's projection on Cincinnati there. I bet Cincinnati at open on Sunday evening at -10. I had them projected at -13.5, so it's very similar there. One of the other edges I saw was Utah, who I think now is up to, 22.5 point favorite against Arizona. We bet them Sunday evening at -21. I still like it at the 22.5. Arizona is one of the worst defenses in all of college football, and I think Utah is going to be looking to make a little bit of a statement there, considering they're going to be trying to making the college football playoff here.
Okay. So we got a couple people looking at Cincinnati here this week, so that's going to be one that I'm definitely going to be putting on my parlay card this weekend, and probably throwing a couple bucks on as well straight up to see if we can get them. I'm going to be hoping that I can get a better number than that. Do you guys work a lot with, teases around when you're not getting the numbers that you want, but you're looking for something there? Or do you feel like you're giving up too much value when you start messing around with that stuff?
In football, there's definitely teaser angles that you want to take. Never tease through the 0, but you can tease up to 10s and back to pick'ems and things like that. I don't personally really do that. It's harder for me to I guess I could, but I'd rather just play the game straight. But this week would be a good opportunity to do that with the big numbers. And like I said, I'm on a couple kind of strange, key numbers on the wrong side that I don't particularly enjoy doing, but it was like kind of all that was there this week when I ran the model stuff. Again, I'm not one to kind of tease much in any sport, and it's a little more predictable, a little more easy in NFL because it's more structured game.
Yep.
I don't do NFL much at all, so I don't tease the totals, don't tease through the 0. But other than that, if you're trying to get off a key number or get up to a key number, it's not a bad idea by any means.
Yeah, I'm one who plays a lot more NFL. I grew up in New Jersey. Our best college football team is Rutgers, so we don't really care too much about college football in this part of the country here.
Sure.
But in NFL, teasers are the way. Although this year, I'll tell you what, this year they have not been working out as well as they have in the past. A lot of the teasers that a lot of the numbers that we used to try to get down from like an 8.5 to a 2.5 and stuff like that. Those used to be almost mortal locks, and a lot of them this year have not worked out that well for us. So the teasing in NFL hasn't worked. But Paulie, what are your thoughts on that? You know, are you big on the teasers? Are you big on the straight bets as well for college? I would assume. I mean, you know, again, I don't bet much college football, which is why I bring the experts on when we're talking about it. You know, how do you go about attacking a college football slate on the weekend?
Yeah, I use more teasers in NFL. I really don't use them in college as much because the value of the points is a little bit different in college because you have higher totals. So when the total is going to be, 65 in a college game, a 6-point movement is a lot different than a total NFL game, which might be 40. So if there was a low-scoring college game, you may consider it, but most likely not. I'd much rather just take, if I have 2 or 3 teams that I really like that are in, the 14, 15-point spread, let's say getting 14.5, 15.5, I don't necessarily like that number. You may just do a money line parlay of 2 or 3 of them and get it around even money.
Yeah, that's actually a smart way to go about it too. I like that. All right, so I'm going to put you both on the spot right now before we sign off here. I want your best bet for college football for the weekend so we can help our subs make some money. So, Frank, we'll start with you. What's your best bet this weekend for college football?
Yeah, so I already said Cincinnati, but there's, like I said before, there's a lot of just gross games this week. So I'll revert to probably the biggest game of the week, the Ohio State-Penn State game. Penn State, took that loss, but it doesn't really affect their chances, I think, of making the playoff. I think they still had to beat Ohio State and they still have to win the conference. So it was like the loss to Minnesota was like, it's pretty negligible. It's weird to say, but Penn State could win that game, but if they lose to Ohio State or don't win the conference, they're not getting in anyway. So Penn State, Ohio State, the big game of the week. These teams have been shooting out offense, but actually I'm going to take the under on it. I think it's 57.5. I think 58 in some spots. I already played the under. I think, these, like I said, these teams have been scoring out of the roof, but I have Ohio State as the second most efficient defense, and I have Penn State as the 13th most efficient defense. They're both good offensively as well, but I think this game will grind a little more to a halt, and I like the under.
All right, so the under in Penn State, Ohio State, Frank's best bet for the week. Paulie, what do you got for our best bet for the weekend?
I'm going to take an ugly approach. I'm going to take Michigan State minus 20.5 versus Rutgers. So Michigan State has actually lost their last 5 games in the Big Ten. So people are going to be, hesitant to bet on them. But they've actually had probably the hardest schedule in all of college football over the time frame. They've played at Ohio State, at Wisconsin, home versus Penn State, home versus Illinois, and then at Michigan. And so they're 4-6 right now, heading into the last 2 games against Rutgers and Maryland, needing to get to 6-6 to be bowl eligible. So if you look on the Rutgers side of things right now, they happened to score 21 points against Ohio State last week when they lost 56-21, but 14 of those points were kind of in garbage time in the second half.
Yeah.
And if we look at Rutgers, whole body of work for the year, in the previous 6 Big Ten games, they scored a combined 24 points. So they've played 7 Big Ten games, and they've lost all 7 of them by 28 or more. So now we're getting a Michigan State game at 20.5, below, a semi-key number here of 21, to where I'm expecting a final score maybe 35-7, 38-10, somewhere in that range. So I think 20.5 is great value this week.
Yeah, so I'm not going to argue with that. As a Jersey boy, betting against Rutgers has been something that's kind of been ingrained in my DNA, except for the, Greg Schiano, Ray Rice years a couple years ago. It's about the only time when that didn't work out well for us and make us some money. So there you go. For Frank, best bet of the week is the under in the Ohio State-Penn State game, one that'll probably be on primetime TV. And Paulie's going back to the Big Ten as well, and we're going with Michigan State 20.5 against, my hometown University of Rutgers University Scarlet Knights. For you guys who don't know, we're going to be offering a free preview of our sports betting site. All of the picks, all the videos, all the articles, everything during the week of Thanksgiving. So make sure you guys get over there and check it out over at EliteSportsBetting.com. For Frank and Paulie, this is Benny Ricciardi signing off. This has been another episode of The Opening Line at EliteSportsBetting.com.